Episode 2, Around the Track Podcast. Alright, before we get into today's podcast, I wanted to make a quick statement, or we wanted to make a quick statement about the school committee meeting that was on December 6th, so this past Monday. There was a vote with a majority of 4 to 3 to remove ice hockey and basketball from the winter season at Westford Academy. Personally, I believe this decision is wrong. I'm not going to review the reasons why I believe this, because you honestly should go and hear the recording of all the wonderful students and parents that gave so much and showed so much maturity in presenting these reasons. But yeah, I couldn't phrase it any better than what they said. I just wanted to make it clear that student athletes from all sports, not just those 2 individual sports, stand by each other. When I think we will do whatever is possible to compete in any season. The governor's office, the MIA, even like the DCL, our league that we compete in, has deemed both of these sports playable if the correct COVID regulations are put into place. And many towns, even in our league and across the state, have already approved the season long before this meeting was ever put, or this possible decision was put into place. The emotions I have seen from parents, students, all based on this decision is very disheartening. We understand, especially as seniors, the reason for several things being taken away from us, including like prom and all the barbecues and get-togethers that we get and stuff like that. But we understand completely that safety is our #1 priority. However, this decision affects the health and safety of many students mentally. Disinterest and demotivation are the biggest ones, and these teams are like families to these athletes. And I don't know how I would feel about my season being taken away from me just because a few people disagree that we are unmature or not mature enough to not go out and not socially gather and everything like that. But it also, including that, it also strikes fear into my mind because it's in question of if our seasoners are going to be affected. Because there are 2 more seasons for our school system. We have a fall 2 season after winter, and we have a spring season. And if the same reasons for why these committee members voted for this petition to get rid of these sports continues, I don't see any athletics being done at WA for the rest of the year. Secondly, I think that the decision should have been made, all sports in the season are discontinued or canceled, not just some. It's either all or nothing. You can't give, all of these regulations can be put into place in all the sports, but for singling out these 2 sports especially, I think is very wrong. And finally, to the athletes in the basketball and the ice hockey teams, I'm so sorry that your season has ended before it even began. I sincerely hope that there's a second chance for this committee meeting to come back together with open and clear minds to hear the many things that you have to say, and for them to make a logical and fair decision. So that's all we have to say. We're going to get straight into this. Thank you for listening. Alright, welcome back to Around the Track Podcast. My name is Connor. I'm joined here by my co-host Alessio. Today we have 2 very interesting stories as well as a couple topics that we're going to be discussing. The first one is the Sound Running Track Meet that was held this past weekend on December 4th and 5th. Now, have you followed this at all?
A little bit.
What do you remember from it, for the most part? I'm pretty sure the big ones stand out.
Yeah, I saw some pretty fast times. I know that there were some Olympic qualifying standards people were trying to hit.
Yep.
I think this is also the one that I was just listening to combos over cold brew, and Vanessa Fraser was on that. I think she made her 10K debut in that. I believe that's the same meet. But that's about all I know.
Yeah, a lot of debuts, a lot of PRs, and a lot of Olympic standards made. So just to go over some quick details about the meet itself, it was held at Gisera Catholic High School in California. The competitions were December 4th and 5th. It was open to elite and collegiate athletes. No in-person spectators were allowed, except for, of course, coaches, event staff, and the agents of all the athletes that were running. But they were all wearing masks, they were all following protocols. The only events raced there were 5K and 10K on the track, and all COVID guidelines were put into place. Mandatory pre-meet testing, limited field event size, controlled entry into the facility, face masks before and after the races, and many sanitation stations were put in. The USA Track and Field Foundation helped put this on, and basically the goal for setting this whole thing up was for runners to achieve their Olympic standards, or US Olympic team trial standards, and just personal best overall. So this is just in general, out of all the races, men's and women's 5 and 10K, 14 of them hit the Olympic standards, so they're good to race in the Olympics and everything like that, which is amazing. And 32, not including the 14, are hit the US trial standards, with many others hitting PRs and introducing debuts in these events. Before we get into each individual event, I just wanted to quickly go over the standards for all of them. So for the men's 5K Olympic qualifier, it was a time of 13:13.5, so pretty fast. For the trial qualifier, for the US men's trial qualifier, it's 13:25. For the women's, the Olympic qualifier was 15:10, and the women's trial qualifier was 15:20, so about 10 seconds slower. And for the 10Ks, for the men's qualifier, it was 27:28. Trial qualifier was 28 minutes. Women's qualifier was 31:25, and then the Olympic trial qualifier was a minute slower, so 32:25 for the 10K. Now we're going to go 10K first, men's and women's order. We're just going to review a couple stuff, see the reactions and stuff like that. So overall, both heats for the men's 10K, the top 4 fastest men ran Olympic standards. Fastest one being Eric Jenkins from the Nike Oregon project. His final time was 27:22.06, which I believe was a good amount PR. Yeah, 22nd PR for him. So that's pretty decent PR considering this whole training thing. Some other facts: he closed in 61 seconds the last 400 and outkicked the second place finisher Patrick Tiernan with 200 left. So that time of 27:22.06 actually bumped him up to number 9 on the US all-time list for that event, so 10K, which is...
And there's some pretty big names up there.
There are some huge names that are racing this, like at collegiate and elite alone. But
Yeah.
27:22.06 for the winning men's 10K time. Like I said, the second place runner was Patrick Tiernan from the Oregon Track Club, so pretty big rival, I'd say, for Eric Jenkins, considering Nike Oregon Project, Oregon Track Club, all that. And he edged him out. So Jenkins ran 27:22.06. Tiernan ran 27:22.55. Which, that's like leading him out of the line in a 10K, which is a little closer than I think Jenkins would want him to be, but it's pretty impressive considering that Tiernan finished actually second at the 2016 Olympics in this event. So he's like a seasoned pro in this event. And Jenkins just came out, and I don't want to say he destroyed him. I mean, it was only like half a second.
That's still an upset.
Right, it's still a pretty big upset.
Yeah.
I mean, Jenkins was up there the whole time. Like, he was within that pack. It's not like he'd be like... It wasn't like a Nick Simmons comeback where he comes from like 10 and sprints all the way to first, but it was still a massive kick that he had. 61 seconds in the last 400 of 10K, like, that's insane. And you're probably gonna like this fact. I'm like getting into it. 1 through 4 hit the Olympic standard, but then 5 through 10 ran sub 28, so they got the trial standard, so they're allowed to try for the team still. With Connor Mcmillan from BYU, he's an alumnus,
Yeah.
coming in with 10th with a PR of 27:53. So I believe he's a marathoner, right? I don't know if you know too much about him.
Yeah, he was. I know he was one of the 6 guys that qualified in the 10K at nationals last year, and that was when he graduated, and then he went on to run with Clayton Young, who actually won the NCAA 10K last year. They both ran in the 10K USATF championships,
Okay.
which I think are basically like on the same level as the Olympic trials, just on like the non-Olympic years.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I mean, I'm not surprised that he's up there with those guys, and
Right, and he also signed a deal with Adidas and everything. So
right, yeah, I heard about
he's
that.
up there. But to go over the names and everything, so Eric Jenkins first, Patrick Tiernan second, Edward Cheserek third from Skechers, 27, 23, 58. So he wasn't very far behind the first 3. Like, it was a good, solid pack finishing out that race for the 10K Elite Men's. Sam Atkins, we'll get into him a little bit later. Great Britain racer, 27, 26, 58. But like I said, we'll get into him a little bit later because he actually shocked a lot of people. I'll tell you why. But yeah, that's the men's 10K. A lot of other great performances, but those are the main ones that we want to look out for. Going to the women's 10K, this one was actually the biggest one for qualifying. Top 8 fastest women in the 5K actually ran the Olympic qualifier, with Rachel Snyder from Under Armour making her debut 10K, won with a time of 31:09.79, which to run that kind of time for a debut, like she ran plenty of 5Ks and everything like that, but like 31:09, like, and once again the Olympic qualifier for the females is what is it? Let me see, 31:25. So she smashed that record by what, a good 15, 16 seconds. Yeah, no, Rachel Snyder, Under Armour, she closed in 66 seconds the last 400. But also within that top 8, 2 other Under Armour. So 2 of her teammates actually finished there and qualified as well. So Under Armour putting up some big names. And second place, Weedy Kaladi ran 31:10.08. So she was right behind Schneider.
I think she just went pro. I think
Yeah,
she's
she
one,
did.
one of the people who like cut off her NCAA eligibility.
Well,
early.
she didn't get cut off. She actually chose to prolong.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
Prolong. So actually, the week of or the week before the race, she just announced like,
Yeah, I heard about
I'm
that.
not going back to NCAA. I want to go pro. And I mean, I don't blame her. Like, why would you hold out one more year after this whole mess has come about? But yeah, no, it was a 50-second PR for Kalidi, who, like we said, turned pro after last year. And then the second one was 4th place Sharon Loketti, who ran 31:11.07. So Under Armour, like going 1, 2, and 4, like that's a very, very, very strong like finishers. But also another quick note, Hoka NAZ, so Northern Arizona Elite Track Club, also had their top 3 runners finish in the top 8. They got 6, 7, and 8. So bringing up the rear for the qualifiers, but still, for a track team to submit or get 3 runners to like hit those kind of times,
Yeah, no, that's some depth.
that is some huge depth. Let me see if I can pull up the actual line. Yeah, so this is by track clubs and teams and everything. So it went Under Armour, On Athletics, Under Armour, Hansen Brew, and then Hoka for the next 3, with BAA bringing up the next 2, which the next 12 athletes in that heat. So there's 2 heats for the women's 10K as well as the men's. The next 12 athletes in that heat ran to qualify for the Olympic trials, and the top 6 of the first heat, so the slower of the 2 heats, actually qualified too, with Maria Metter of the U.S. Air Force running 32:09.37, which the women's 10K has got some absolute depth in this. Like, we have like a lot of competition to come. But yeah, no, Maria, and then we got Carrie Verdon of Team Boulder, all coming in 32:09, 32:09, 32:11 from Samantha Palmer, who ran unattached. Colorado Springs submitted Jessica Wada-Chosic, 32:11. Like, all these girls in the slower heat, they were like packed up, especially when it was like the first 6 girls. So I don't know. Just based on those 10K times and those 10K like qualifiers, what do you think? Like, looking into the 2021 Olympics, Tokyo Games, pushed back a year, what do you think?
I mean, I think everyone's definitely antsy to to race, but like that, man, makes you wonder what the the Olympic trials are going to be like in June.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I know we talked a little bit about this with Jenna Hutchins last week about mass training, how the training this year I think has been a little bit different and it benefits some people, it doesn't benefit other people. But we also mentioned that pros aren't really wearing the mask when they're training, so they're not getting that possible benefit of doing some kind of alternate elevation running. So do you think that this has something to do with all these like PRs and coming out showing these debut runners coming out and making like massive strides in events that they've never run before? Do you think, like, what do you think is due to this?
Well, honestly, I think it's just they've had so much time to just like put their heads down and just grind it out for the past 9 months.
Yeah.
Right. I know that. I know that. I mean, obviously people were in lockdown and stuff, but I know that a lot of pro teams took advantage of this opportunity and like, I follow Bowerman pretty closely, and I think they went to altitude like at least like 2 or 3 times over quarantine, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, just like that's, I don't know, there was just so little going on in life that they could really just do whatever they wanted to in terms of going to altitude and training and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they weren't like distracted by other things because we were just stuck at home all the time. So
Right.
I don't know, maybe that was it. It was just people were getting in better training this summer than in the past.
I know Bowerman, you said, and we're getting into one of their athletes in the female 5K. They run a lot of squad like meets over the summer, but a lot of these runners really haven't run like against outside competition from different countries, different teams, different clubs, and everything like that. Like especially the collegiate runners who, unfortunately, their season got ended right in the winter, and the indoor season at the end of that. But I mean, I think like you said, everyone's anxious to run, everyone's anxious to compete, and like the 2021 Olympics is going to be like, I think a lot of PRs. Do you think world records, Olympic records, those are going to get close times, or?
I mean, we'll see. Like, there were a lot of ridiculous performances this summer too. Like for example, like Joshua Cheptegei. We're gonna get into some of them later.
Yeah.
That's just the first one that comes to mind. But I know there were road records and other stuff. But yeah.
I feel like but that's the other thing. There's been more road races than track events, just because of the area that you have to control, and not like in the sprint. Right. So
yeah.
I think it's good that they were able to get this track meet going, but you never know. Like maybe they can get another one in before the end of the year. It's good that they ran it out in California and whatnot. So, but anyway, we're getting into the 5Ks now. So in the men's 5K, unfortunately, none of them hit the Olympic qualifier. But the top 6 fastest and the fastest heat qualified for the U.S. trials. So a little disappointing to see, especially in that kind of events. Like, maybe some of them are focusing on like just getting better and running different events, but I don't know. I think it's weird that we see so many in the women's 10K, men's 10K, and then really nothing in the men's 5K. But first place finisher Luis Grijalva from NAU. So we got some BYU runners, we got some NAU runners in this.
Rivalry.
Yeah, exactly. Massive kick to beat his former rival Cooper Teare. He ran 13:16.75 in the 5K. Now, he's a graduate student. I believe he's still part of NAU team as a graduate student.
Yeah, he was racing cross country for them.
Yeah.
So.
But I remember like looking at all these interviews and stuff when he ran, and he's like, oh, I want to accomplish so much more this season. I didn't really do anything. I'm like, you are an All-American. You got 52 seconds in the NCAA cross country. What more do you want? It's like, oh,
more titles.
I mean, but like, you can't be selfish. Like, I mean, I get it. He wants to like make a big name for himself and whatnot, but trust me, like, he just won this event against probably some like the Tim and Lee runner, Drew Hunter. He beat him. He only ran 30. He only ran like 13:17.55. Like,
what was the standard again? Was it like 3:12?
For the Olympic standard, it was 13:13.5.
Okay.
So none of them had it because he ran 13:16. But then the trial qualifier was 13:25. So, like I said, the first 6 I can ride off some names.
Yeah, and I think that's not too uncommon for people to go to the championships and not hit the Olympic standard.
Yep.
I know that last year, in like the men's 10K, like Woody Kincaid from Bowerman got third, I think, and he technically would have qualified for Doha, except he didn't hit the standard for the Worlds.
Yeah.
So had he hit the standard before, or even in that race, he would have been able to go to Worlds. I don't know exactly what ended up happening with the 10K field for the U.S. that year. But like obviously it's hard to qualify at championship races because they're so tactical.
Right, exactly.
Especially in like a 10K.
Right, everybody's not, which is good and bad. Like I think this is more of the topics that we can get into later too.
Yeah.
Racing people and racing the clock. Like you said, like it's a more tactical race as far as racing the clock, hitting splits, knowing what you're gonna run, and like feeling comfortable. Don't worry about if somebody goes out hard for the first like 200 runs like a 26 instead of like what your pace is supposed to be like at a 26.5 or something like that. Like you said, it's very tactical. And I think everybody, a lot of them were kind of jumped into this late because this was kind of announced a little later, and then they had like a week or 2 weeks or whatever to prepare, but which isn't that too much time to like peak and everything like that.
Right. So maybe they were just kind of like, oh, we're gonna train through this, just get it racing because it's like December barely.
Yeah.
So there's still plenty of time.
Well, I feel like the collegiate athletes they tried to peak. I feel like it would be smart for them too, like try and run their best times and like make some impressions and everything like that. Because like Louis, he ran unattached. Cooper ran unattached. Like we said, Drew Hunter, but he ran for 10-man because big 10-man runner. But here's where I want to come back to the men's 10K just a little bit. Sam Atkin. Do you remember what I told you he ran for place-wise in the 10K? First of all, he ran both.
5 and the 10? He doubled?
He doubled. So they ran the 5K on Friday night, the 4th, and then they ran the 10K on Saturday night.
That's ridiculous.
It was all under the lights. He ran both, and he ran the 5K in 13:18, and then he doubled back and ran the men's 10K. Like, and he still PR'd in both of them. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, he's absolutely someone that we need to look out for. And he's running for Great Britain, though, so it's not like he can qualify for the Olympic, the U.S. team, but...
I mean, they have the standard, too.
Oh, of course,
qualify for their team.
No, I know, and I'm glad that he ran, like, here, so we could see, like, some international kind of, like, athletes running and everything. Like, not just, like, the Adidas runners, the Nike runners, the Hoka runners, the collegiate runners from the U.S. Like, get some real, like, actual competition. Who are actually going to be racing for, like, this upcoming season. But yeah, no, he placed 4th in both of them. He got PRs in both.
That's nuts. I don't know how people do that in like obviously like NCAA championships.
Yeah,
especially even it's worse in the like Olympics and the like USATF stuff because they're just like I know the Olympic trials are like 10 days of just like racing. They're rounds upon rounds, especially for the like probably for the like 5K, 10K is probably like 3 tops maybe.
Yeah.
But for like the 8 and the 15, for example, it's like 3-4 rounds maybe. I don't remember exactly what the numbers are, but it's a lot.
Yeah, so for all you high school kids that are bitching out about doubling in a track meet, shut up.
Yeah, no, just think about doubling in the 8, like the 8 and the 15. I know Lopez Lamong did that in like 2008, and he got 4th in 8. He was he's like, oh, I'm not gonna qualify in 8, but I'm gonna run anyway. He ran like the semis, and then he got to the next round. Or no, he ran I don't remember. He ran the first round where like everyone's there, and he's like, oh, I got to the semis, and then he runs the semis. He's like, oh, I got to the final, and then he got 4th in the final, and then he's like, oh, dang, like I was this close, and then he's like, but we got the 1500 coming up, which is my main event, and then he ended up qualifying in the 15. So he ran 6 races over the course of 10 days and qualified in the last race. So.
Survive in advance. Just keep looking forward. The mindset of some people is just...
Yeah, Lamong's a beast.
Yeah. It's crazy and everything. So, finally, women's 5K, we'll get into that. Fastest heat. Let me see. Oh, shit. Basically, the pacer for this... I didn't really look into the pacing much for the other races, but this was like such a good race I had to look into it. Pacer brought them through at 9:09 to the 3K, and then she dropped out. So, fast time for a 3K and everything like that. So, I think it's kind of insane. But Nike Bowerman runners, Shelby Houlihan and Elise Craney took 1st and 2nd. And they qualified for the Olympic standard, running sub 5:15. Elise, who got second, ran 15:04.88. Shelby closed the last 465 to beat her and ran 15:02.55. So some big races. Definitely some big races from those two. And I think it's Nike Bowerman is just they've been killing lately.
Yeah. But
those two ran the Olympic qualifying times, and then the next two, Emily Lipari and Dana Giordano from Adidas and the BAA, they didn't run sub 15:10, but they ran sub 15:20, so they qualified for the trials. But I just want to get into Shelby a little bit. Shelby Julian. In July, did you follow this? Because you said you followed Bowerman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw her race in that 3K where she almost got the American record, but then
How about her 5K in July?
Carissa Schweitzer beat her on the line. Yeah, no, I heard about the 5K. Like, she went off on that.
Yeah.
Honestly, Julian's loaded. Like, she's also sub to 800. She has a ridiculous range.
She's absolutely like.
And she has the 1500 record too.
She's
for the U.S.
I want to look this up real quick. Yeah, no. Basically, in July she ran 14:23.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That was like I think 10 seconds off the American record or something like. Ridiculous.
It was something like
something
that.
Huge. I think Schweitzer also went under the original 5K record, but I don't exactly remember.
Well, I'm just gonna pull up her World Athletics profile real quick because I just want to see personal bests and stuff like that. So, yeah, so 800 she ran, her best is 159.92. She ran that in 2019, so last year. 1500 she's got a 354.99. She ran that in 2019 as well. Mm-hmm. Her mile she ran in 2015, so she's been focusing on 15 obviously, and her longer events 3K, 5K, and everything like that. So her mile is 4:31, which isn't. Yeah,
and mile is more of a rarity in pro.
Especially because you're like
even outside of high school, you only run it like indoor basically.
Right. Yeah. Her 3K she ran 2017, 8:37.4, and obviously this year, unofficially she ran 14:23.92, but that was with inter-squad competition.
Right.
And like you said, she didn't win, but she still was able to get that time. But yeah, no, she's just an absolute beast. And, like, it's crazy how talented the runners that are coming out of the woodworks right now are. Like, and she did an interview right after it. She said the Bowerman Club was told 5 days before the race that they're racing. It's like, well, let's try and qualify. But that's the thing. Like, everyone's probably asking, she ran like 40 seconds faster. Why did she run the race again? She already qualified. That race was actually run outside of the window to qualify.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Continuing to PR, hit these standards, and like setting up some huge times and huge like stuff that we can look forward to in 2021 for the Olympics. And we're going to quickly get into this second story. Everyone's been talking about, I feel like, in the running world, the half marathon record. In Spain, Valencia half marathon, Kibiwat Kandi from Kenya ran 57:32 in the half marathon. First person to break 58 minutes in the half, because the previous one was 58:01. And let's go through the pacing and everything, because I got all that stuff in. Pacers are running through, I think, until like about the 15 or the 10K. But through the 5K, they ran 13:37.
That's nuts.
Leading the pack, Kandi's still there. He's like hanging on and everything like that. 10K, they kept it up, 27:24. Through the 15K, 41:10 through the 15K. Now, for everybody who doesn't know, like the kilometers and stuff, half marathon's a little over 20 kilometers, a little less than 21 kilometers.
Yeah.
So the pacemaker basically dropped back. He ended up placing 7th. He kept running and placed 7th. But he dropped back after the 15K, leading them through 41:10. Condi makes his move at the 18th kilometer. And only 2 other runners tried to stick with him and were able to stay with him within striking distance for that next K. It was Ronex, Kiptrow, and Jacob Killian.
Kiplima.
Yeah, Kiplima.
Yeah, he was the half marathon world champion from this year, from like a month ago.
Yeah, I was going to say that. They were the only ones in striking distance, and Kiplimo actually caught Condi at the 19K mark, and he actually he was only like 1 or 2 strides behind him at the 19K mark, and at the 20K mark, he actually passed Condi and looked like he was going to take over everything, but Condi he just let loose and had 1 more gear. He ended up beating him by 5 seconds. But remember, I said, he's the first person to break 58 minutes and a half. That's true, but it's also not true because the top 4 for that race broke 58 and a half.
Really?
Condi ran 57:32, and Kiplimo was only 5 seconds behind.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard of any of the other results, but that's ridiculous.
So Condi ran 57:32, Kiplimo ran 57:37, and the next 2 were pretty close. It was separated by decimals. Kiptrow, who's the other guy, who's within striking distance, came through 57:49, and Matiso 57:49. So I want to come back to what we just said about the last one. Do you think the training has been affecting them? Not having to race the different seasons and everything like that, just constantly focusing on it. But I also want to point out, Condi ran 3 sub 59 runs this year.
For the half marathon?
Yeah, for the half marathon.
I mean, that's impressive.
That's the first time someone's done that in history.
Oh.
In 1 year. He ran one in February, and then he ran one in August. And then he got silver medalists, I believe, in Poland. They ran a half marathon, but he also broke 59 there too. But yeah, he's the first person in 1 year to run 3 sub 59 half marathons. Because typically people just, if they do run it, the athletes that do run it, they just take a break because they're trying to focus on the marathon, or they're just trying to
the half marathon's kind of.
They're trying to peak for 1 more.
It's a weird middle child of distance running.
Because it's like the 12, I assume too, compared to an 8 and everything like that in a marathon.
Right, but the 12 isn't an open event. It's only in the relay.
Right.
In the DMR. But definitely. Or the 1,000 maybe.
Yeah.
8. There's the 8, the 1,000, and I don't know, mile 1,500, whatever.
Mm.
So yeah, the 1,000 is run, but no one really focuses on that much.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's focused on indoor just because that's the indoor events.
Right, but then they also still run the 800
Yeah.
in indoor. For example, I don't know, I follow the NCAA a lot, so
Yeah.
the NCAA runs the 800 most of the time, at least in their championships they do. I think pros, they typically do both, actually, the 8 and the K, but.
Okay. But the other thing I want to talk about with this is the mental aspect of it, because you pass the guy, you catch up to the guy after he makes his move at the 19th K, and you pass him at the 20th K. You're on the home stretch. You think you're gonna win, and then you get passed like that. That's just got to be not demoralizing, but that's such a hard mental wall to jump over.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know. I think I mentioned this on last week's podcast, but it's kind of a different demoralizing aspect if you stop.
No, just keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So what am I trying to say here?
The 5 seconds basically
No, I was saying just racing, knowing that maybe you're not gonna hit your goal. So I was saying last week with me and Justin, for example, how when I ran the mile and I was trying to break 5, I came through 1 second too slow, and I was frick. And so I but I just knew
Yeah.
that I wasn't going to break 5, but I still had to run like the entire second half of the race. Same thing with Justin. He came through in his 2 mile, the first mile like 5:03,
Yeah.
and he's just like, oh, like frick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
And so I think it's the same thing. I feel like in this scenario where you just like it happens and you're like crap, but
Right.
you still have to finish the race.
Right, but I don't know. Do you think that's gonna illumine him the next time he races?
Maybe I think definitely it's going to motivate him
Do
more
you think he's gonna be more of a motivator?
for Kiplimo.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think he's like I was this close. I need that world record. I'm the world champion. I deserve it. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, but I don't know. Like, if that was like, I guess I get what you're saying. I'm like, I'd be more pissed off to run the next race, but in that like next couple of days, I'd just be like, shit.
Yeah, no, I've been there.
It's like, are you kidding me? I lost by like that much. And I want to quickly just address the women's race. Nothing too exciting happened, no records or anything like that. But Daibaba from Ethiopia, her debut in the half marathon actually, she won by 20 seconds running 105.18. And second and third stayed under the 106 mark, so that's some pretty impressive racing. But the biggest thing I want to introduce is Emily Sisson. Came fifth, and she ran 107.26. So 1 second slower than Molly Huddle's half marathon record.
See, that sucks too. That's like that's like when Kenenisa Bekele ran like 1 or 2 seconds behind Kipchoge's marathon record.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that must suck.
Like, I mean, this was set in 2018, so I mean, it's not due, but I would like to see it broken soon, because it's Huddle.
Right. Yeah.
Huddle's not really. I don't think she's gonna race another half really at that kind of level.
I'm pretty sure she won the
She's still racing.
USA TF 10K last year.
She's still racing, I
Yeah.
think, but I don't think she's like gonna try and do the half. Or
Yeah, maybe.
maybe she'll be motivated if somebody breaks her record. But
Yeah.
the fact that she was that close, again, demoralizing, motivating. Like,
I think
but
demoralizing in the
except
moment.
this time you weren't beaten by somebody in the race. You were beaten by yourself.
Right. I think long term is more motivating because you're like in the moment you're obviously like frick.
Yeah. Like you're slowly like, okay, I'm slowly getting there.
Yeah, but then after a little bit you're just like whatever. Like I was this close.
Yeah.
I can take off 2 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
But yeah, that's pretty much all we have for the news this week. We're gonna get into some topics right now. So, what do you got for topics this week?
All right. So speaking of road races and records and stuff, I want to talk about the Vaporfly and Alphafly ban. So I think
The decision or the actual like shoot itself?
I'll go over the decision real quick and then maybe we can talk about the shoe. So the decision, I didn't follow it super closely, but I know that obviously there was a lot of debate about the Vaporfly and especially the Alphafly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the original 4% back whenever 4 years ago or something when they came out.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody was paying attention to those when those came out.
Yeah, definitely the Vaporfly and blew up the most, and then Alphafly was like even better than that one. But
yeah,
I think it's essentially what ended up happening is they decided that they would be legal, and then earlier this summer the IAAF changed the limitations for the stack height of a shoe on track races.
Yeah.
Which essentially indirectly banned the Alphaflies because they have a ridiculous stack height.
Oh yeah, no,
I think it's like 40 millimeters.
Yeah, it's something like that.
The track limit is 25. I think cross country too is 35. I don't know why you'd want to use these in cross country.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to use these on the track either, because that 45 millimeters of depth, that's all cushioning. I mean, there's that carbon fiber plate that's in there.
Yeah, and they say it's very responsive, and I'm sure it is.
Right, but I feel like it would be too squishy to run on the track.
Yeah, I know there
you
were.
just want raw speed,
right.
raw energy, aggression, or anything like that.
Right. But I know that there were people who were using the 4%, the original ones.
Yeah.
Even people who would do track workouts and Vaporflies. But yeah. Anyway, so what, in general, just aside from the ban, what are your thoughts on the shoe technology itself? Should they be allowed? Should new technology be counted towards new world records and stuff like that.
I mean, I got two views on this. One, I can see why it could be called cheating, because not everybody has access. Not everybody's going to be like it's just, it gives you advantages in the races that you're going to be running with this shoe. That's basically, if you don't wear it, you're going to be left behind. You're going to get dusted, no matter what. You could be a slow runner, you could be a faster runner, you could be just as good as the person wearing the shoe. You're going to get dusted. But on the other hand, evolution of technology. Like back when Jesse Owens was running the 100 meters, they weren't running on the stuff that we're running on.
Right.
They didn't have the same kind of shoes and like the same material tracks that we're running on right now. Like, they're not doing that kind of stuff. So I can see why it's like, oh, it's just the evolution of the sport and everything like that. But I wanted to get down to like nitty gritty, like the human body. How far can you push the human body to get this? Not, oh, what can I do to the human body? What technology can I use in like preparation, like advantages I can get to get this kind of thing, like to get me faster, basically. I want to see like real, natural, eye-opening, mouth-dropping progressions from people. Usain Bolt was like the standout thing. Like everybody's like, he's inhuman, he's Superman. Like he can just do like anything. He wasn't using no fancy shoe. He had a basic shoe. He was doing this all in 2008, 2012. 2016 was kind of a downhill for him, but like, I mean, that's just my opinion on it. Like, it's good and it's bad. Like, it shows that there is potential to like start breaking these records, but I think they should be labeled differently. Like, okay, here's this new era record set with this kind of technology, this kind of like stuff, and there's the old record run with just pure body on track, body on pavement, shoe, foot to pavement like record. People went out in the weather, some crappy shoe that we would think is like terrible for your feet, just ran and crushed the record. That's what I think, at least. How about you?
Right. I mean, I kind of have the similar train of thought, but I think at the end of the day, the way I see it is it's essentially just like a spike for the roads. Like,
I can see
the
that.
spikes evolve over time. Like, there was an era where they just didn't use spikes.
Well, do you think it's a flat? Because I think it's more of a trainer. That's good. That's meant for racing.
Well, I know.
I don't think it's a flat.
It's the right. I think it's the equivalent. But the reason it's not like a flat by definition,
Right, it's because of that thing.
Because they're so obsessed with this foam that's like really responsive.
Yeah.
And I heard someone say like, I don't remember who exactly it was. Maybe it was some commentator dude from one of the running. Anyway, he was saying like, I think as long as the shoe doesn't give more energy than you put into it, then it should be legal. Which obviously like, you can't do that unless there's like a motor in the shoe.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think the way that probably the people who are developing these shoes see it is that they're not making the shoes more efficient, or the shoes now aren't just more efficient than the ones in the past. It's just that the ones in the past were less efficient, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that.
They're just trying to reach the peak of efficiency.
Right.
Because I think the way they see it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as far as records go and everything like that, like Kipchoge, like, congrats. Like, I get it. sub-2 in the marathon. Like, it wasn't all the shoe. It was the man too. Like.
Right. And that also technically, like, they broke a lot of the official rules to break to because.
Yeah, but he also ran.
Because it wasn't an official
race.
World record. It was a Guinness Book of World Records, not an IAAF record.
Yeah, that's true.
Because of how they ran it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that there should be a clear distinction of how you set records.
Do you think it could be something like that, where like there's two 26.2 mile records? There's like the official one, which is like 201, and then the fastest 26.2 ever run that wasn't 100% legal because like they switched pacers and stuff, which is the 159.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that, like you said, that's a whole different like category to get into about.
Right, but if you were to deem like the shoes, for example, to be illegal,
yeah,
you could still have it be a world record where it's not like officially recognized by the IAAF. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah, I think it would be. I just don't know, because like evolution, like, because I don't think that we should limit ourselves to the past, saying, oh, you're never going to hit these times. These are like the times we're ever going to hit. you're not going to hit without using that new technology. Like, that's not true. Like, the human body's still evolving. Like, we're not, like, completely fully developed and everything like that, but I don't know. If they could find a way to, like, say it's like, oh, they used this special technology to run it, I think that would be cool to see. But I still want to see, like I said, that, like, normal man using, like, that just normal shoe, going out, kicking ass, hitting nice times, and making everybody just go, holy shit, that guy's fast. But yeah, that's just my take on it, personally.
Yeah, but I do think it's interesting the competition it sparked in the market. Like everyone was trying to make some kind of shoe that to rival, especially once the Alpha Fly came out and just they started destroying road racing records left and right earlier this year, end of last year.
Well, competition, then, like I said, that's how evolution starts. Competition, survival of the fittest.
Exactly, and I think it's interesting because lately the one I've seen a lot on like Instagram and stuff is the Adidas one, and I'm pretty sure that the half marathon world record that they ran was set in the
he was an Adidas sponsor, yeah. So,
and that one's had some like even in the half marathon world championship has happened like a month or two ago. Like a lot of the people who were wearing Adidas.
Yeah.
So like if you look at like
here's a topic. Do you think Adidas is taking over Nike?
I think they're definitely coming up now. Because if you look at February, the U.S.
What would you say besides Nike and Adidas? What are some of the main shoe brands that have made like an impact in the running world? Like they're like, oh, so and so, he's a what's it called, runner? Like what are some other?
I think if you think of being in high school, seeing the other spikes, just like out of me, I usually
I want to talk about sponsored athletes.
Sponsored athlete. Okay, I want to say New Balance. New Balance and Nike are probably the two big ones, and then you've got like Adidas and Brooks.
Do you think New Balance is higher than Adidas right now? I feel like New Balance is very limited to the U.S. They don't really have.
Yeah, I'm also not sure about college. I was thinking about the other day. I'm not sure I've ever seen a college sponsored by New Balance. It's possible, but I feel like it's always like Nike, Adidas, and like
Saucony, like all those like the minor brand.
But I feel like it's always
schools.
I feel like it's always like almost always Nike or Adidas for the most part.
Under Armour
for college.
That's another one that you don't really see in college or high school.
Yeah.
I mean, I think WA is sponsored by Under Armour, but vaguely, like we're not like giving.
Our uniforms are Under Armour. I think the new ones are Adidas, like for the other teams because we didn't get new uniforms last year.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if it's like a sponsorship, but like they were made by by Adidas this year.
Yeah, no. So you think Adidas is like the up and coming guy coming up?
I definitely think Adidas is up and coming, especially if we're talking about the marathoning shoes. I know like Saucony has the endorphins that they were trying to push. And I know that like Jared Ward, who was the Olympic, he was second place for the U.S. in the trials behind Galen Rupp.
Yep.
And then he got sixth place in the Rio Olympics marathon. He's a Saucony guy, and he has the endorphins. And then also Molly Seidel, who got second in the U.S. marathon trials earlier this year.
Okay.
It was also a Saucony. But if you look at the men's field in particular of that race, of the marathon, it was like 90%. Like Alpha Flies and Vapor Flies.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And that was sparking up a lot of debate about like, is it a disadvantage to not sign with Nike now? Which is another thing, because like it's one thing to just be a runner and buy a pair of shoes, but if you're sponsored by someone else, you can't go and get that shoe. So
well, I know we were talking about the Vapor Flies and everything, and it's kind of segueing in, but. You know, like basketball teams, football teams, they got like salary caps around which they can like pay. Do you think that the shoe companies should start doing that?
For like their individual athletes?
Yeah. Like amount of money that they're allowed to spend on athletes, because otherwise, like they could just take over like that. Because I think I like seeing the competition between like New Balance, Nike, like the Oregon Project runners versus like the Boston New Balance kids or. The Adidas like 10-man elite guys going out and like
even between like training groups Bowerman
Club.
Yeah, Bowerman or Oregon Project and the Oregon Track Club. They're all Nike, but they're just different branches of it.
Right.
And they're all really good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's similar to that. Like I'm just gonna refer this to basketball. Like I think New Balance actually sponsors the Celtics, but like other ones sponsor like Jordan. The Jordan brand sponsors North Carolina. Like there's Adidas sponsors the majority of the teams, I think, and Nike got some of them. But the teams themselves have salary caps on how much they can spend on athletes. Do you think that there should be? And I think there was some kind of controversial thing about this in the beginning of the Corona season about amount of professional runners being allowed in the sport.
Oh yeah. They were.
Do you think that that should be implemented with this?
I don't know. I feel if you want to talk about the professional athlete cap, I feel like that does kind of suck in a way, but also like
Because like you said, Nike owns like 90% of the runners that you see on TV and
Right.
see in these major races. Like, I don't want to call it monopoly, but
it's getting there.
right, they own 90% of the runners in the sport.
Yeah.
It's huge. I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think in terms of a cap, I feel like if you do have a lot of natural talent, I feel like you should deserve to at least have a chance or something. And
Probably
then
the best.
right. So I feel like it's kind of unfair if you're. I don't know because like what do you define as really good? Because obviously people are always getting faster, so that
Right,
that
there's
pro
different
that
events.
line between pro and amateur is always.
Yeah, it's always being
Shifting.
moved, yeah.
So I guess
well, that's the other thing I was talking about. Like, there's too many pro runners in the sport, which I do agree with, but I also don't agree with because the OGs of like we'll call like a decade or the era, they should still be allowed to run if they're willing to compete and they're willing to put up the good times. But also you got these new young up and comer kids like Luis and all like Cooper and all these guys coming from NAU, Connor, Mcmillan from BYU, all these like runners coming up from these collegiate programs. What's it called? I'm forgetting her name. The one that just forgoed her eligibility.
Wayne Galati.
Yeah, like all these runners are like giving up. Like, oh, I'm fast. I'm good. Justin Knight, Donovan Brazier. He only ran 1 year at Texas A&M, and then he went
Yeah.
Nike Pro.
Drew Hunter who just didn't even go to college.
Yeah, he just went straight to Adidas because he's just that good. But like you have those runners, but then you have like the runners that are like working hard and everything like that. But if there's a salary cap, by the time they get to that point where like they're putting up the good times, they're stuck with like I'm not saying stuck with, but like they're limited to Saucony and Asics and all those teams and stuff like that. Hoka, like they're not bad, but they're not like the major brands.
They're not. Yeah, they're not like the name brand ones, if you will.
Yeah.
The name brands are the name brands, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to talk about further as like stuff develops and whatnot.
Maybe.
If there should be a limitation on it.
Add that song for you. Oh, we can touch on that in the future.
What else you got? Or do you want to go back to the Vaporflies?
Well, no, I think just talking about that athlete cap, like I was saying, I feel like if you are fast, I think if you're fast, you should be at least have a chance or something. And also, obviously, the more runners you have in a pro atmosphere, whether or not they're actually running like close to world record times or not, like the more competition you are, like we were saying earlier, like the faster things are going to progress. If you just have just more competition, more people in the sport, and also just like the running world in general. If you get more people involved in it, if you're turning people away from a contract, you're going to have them lose a little bit of interest because obviously it's not they're gonna find another job, and then running might fall by the wayside for them. But if you're encouraging more people to run professionally, then just in general, as a side effect, you're going to bring more and more people into the sport as a whole, whether or not they're professional or amateur or whatnot.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like it's a wonderful sport to be a part of, and it's a sport that is willing to maintain the amount of people that it has right now. But I get why people think that there should be limitations as far as pro running. Maybe there could be semi-pro running. Maybe there could be like
I think
stuff like that, because I think it's just
clubs are
amateur.
good like that.
It's just amateur, and then there's pro, elite.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really no in between. I feel like.
Yeah, no, I know. Like going back to Bowerman, they have like a
A junior team.
there's sort of it's like an unsponsored athlete. I think it's more of just like a club program essentially, but it's like it's still a Bowerman track club. You're just not obviously with like Shelby Houlihan or Matt Centro
Yeah, of course.
and Lopez Lamong, but you're still part of the Bowerman team, but just like a different segment of it.
Yeah.
So it's more of a club atmosphere. I don't know exactly how clubs work. Where like the club obviously the unsponsored club.
Yeah.
So.
As
Because
far as,
obviously
like,
that's
as far as
more.
getting paid
That's
salaries and
more.
stuff?
Yeah, I feel like that's more of just like a pastime
Yeah.
for runners. They join a team because they want to be a part of an organization.
Or they just want to keep running competitively.
Right, because I mean you can still like obviously find unattached meets to run at, but you have
Yeah.
to like train on your own and
Right.
you have to pay for everything and find all the meets for yourself, which
The
is a nightmare.
guidance. I feel like having a coach is a big thing.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about last week. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna have to run alone next year. I have no
Yeah.
idea what I'm doing.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely do think it's an interesting concept to have like these semi pros.
Yeah.
Maybe like the middle
I
tier.
think they presented it the wrong way when they first brought this up at the beginning of the year. I think it was presented the wrong way.
Mm.
Because they were just like, we need to like get rid of like the amount of promoters. Break it up. Like,
Yeah, it's
Almost
not like it's a one company. You have to lay off a bunch of people.
yeah, right.
It's a whole community. So yeah, if you have tiers, I guess you can make it work.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Divisions, stuff
Oh,
like that.
definitely division.
Yeah.
hmm
What else you got? Where do you want to? Is that good enough for this week?
Yeah, I mean we could get into best running shoes and brands and apparel and stuff. If
New Balance. Discussion over.
Big New Balance guy right here.
Yeah, of course.
So what's your experience with them in terms of like trainers and spikes and other stuff if you want to talk about that?
Experience? Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, I just ran with Ongod's Nike spike. I forget what they're called.
Victories?
Yeah,
I didn't
the
see
Vic
that.
3s. The Vic 3s, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like those.
I honestly didn't. I'm gonna be honest. I wore his Rio ones, the lime and like pink ones or something.
That's what I used, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm stupid then. I was like, he has another pair. I could have sworn they were different color. Anyway, yeah, I ran the 600 in those, and honestly, in a
Well, here's the
scooter.
thing. I wouldn't run with them in the 8, but if I were to ever run the
Yeah.
mile, I'd use them for the mile again. Because for background, I paced one of our teammates through the mile for his 2-mile time trial, and I used the Vic 3s. And I felt comfortable. I felt like relaxed. The shoe felt a lot like a distance shoe that I got from New Balance before. Because the only other distance shoe I've gotten was the 5K version 7 from New Balance, but that was a cross country spec XC V3 for the 5K. Other than that, I had the MD5s, and I have
MDs are good.
SD1s, but older versions. Because when I run the
The 400.
yeah, the 400. Because I really didn't like the MD4s, MD5s for the 400, because it just felt not reactive enough. I didn't have enough like.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like the Victories, because I ran them in a 600.
Yeah.
It was a JV6. I just.
Yeah.
I was talking to Angad about them because we had physics together and we would talk about like running and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to take my Vic?" Because I was saying how I was thinking about getting new spikes.
Yeah.
Because I had the New Balance MD 800s, the V4s. I think I love those spikes. Those are such nice spikes.
Is that the ones that came out last year? Because I remember.
No, those came out a while. I got them freshman year, and they were the generation before. So
Okay,
those
okay.
they're quite old.
Because I remember racing. Shout out Brent Wang. He showed me the MD8s from
Was that sophomore year?
our sophomore year.
I remember that. I was there with you. That
Yeah.
was Brent Wayne.
Yeah, that was Brent Wang. Yeah, he was showing me these MD8s and like the bubbles. Like, it
Yeah,
wasn't really-
I remember that.
and he didn't like them because like we weren't allowed to use inserts because of indoor,
Mhm.
so he was slipping all over the place and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I think that was a 6s then.
But then I saw Ellie Perrier like fucking just go beast mode when she went me, and I'm like, yep, I'm getting those. Whatever she's wearing, I'm buying them. But
Yeah, no, I'm sure definitely with inserts, like, I don't know, I really like just how reactive those shoes were.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't like the Victories, because those are I think rated officially for like 15
Yeah,
to
yeah.
5K
yeah,
or something.
5K on the track that's not really good. But yeah, no, it was
Right,
light.
that's-
It was light. It was
That's
sleek.
a whole other debate.
It wrapped around my like entire like foot and everything. Like, I felt completely comfortable.
No,
while
the
wearing that shoe.
Victory 3 is the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn.
Yeah,
Like they
no.
fit so well.
Yeah. So if I ever, I still have the spikes. I don't know if he's gonna ask them back, but I still have them. So if I ever run a mile, I'm probably gonna use that. But no, MD5s. I think that's a pretty generic shoe. That's for like a beginner.
Yeah, and I think the 8 was more specific
Eight's
for
very
the
specific.
800.
Yeah.
I definitely the older versions up until the 5, like they were like you look at them, they look almost identical. The
Yeah.
5 and the 8. They started splitting off a little bit once they got to the 6, I think.
Yep. No, they definitely
But
did. Absolutely.
the I had the 4 and I love that shoe. And obviously like I used it for a pole vault too freshman year. Like
no, yeah.
you can kind of do a bit of everything.
I've seen reviews of the MD5s of runners in like from like selling like shoe stores and whatnot. Like this is great for a pole vault shoe because it's got the cushioning for a distance shoe, but it's also got the reactivity and speed of a sprinter shoe.
Yeah, I've used those spikes from anywhere from the 200 to the mile.
Yeah.
So.
I just prefer to use the SD because I feel like I can get more turnover than
Right, because you actually like needed to go fast in a varsity race. I was running like maybe
the varsity
2 and
4x4
4
and everything like that.
just
So
for fun. But
yeah, no, when it comes down to it, I'll use the SDs over the MDs for anything below the 400, including the 400.
what about the 6? Would you use the?
I use the MD5s for the 6 because it doesn't have the cushioning and support the SDs to run the 6. Like after about 200, 300 meters, I feel like I'm running on like concrete, but
Right,
I'm still
yeah.
but I still have the power to push off, so it's good. And I like them that way. But as far as like I need that extra support and like cushioning, because I want to get shin splints in like within less than 2 minutes. So I keep running with the SDs.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really the only experience that I had. I did run I had some old New Balance cross country specs that Adam Mullen gave me freshman year when because out of nowhere I was top 7, so I had to run like the cross country thing. He gave me like on the bus of the day of the meet, so I didn't even I've never worn specs before. I don't know what they are. I don't know what version they are. They're hanging up on my wall somewhere with like the dirt from the spikes like still in and everything like that. But after that I got Saucony, like the basic like the blue and orange one.
The Havocs.
Yeah, the Havocs, that's what it was. I used those for outdoor track when I ran and the next cross country season. But after that, I didn't really like them. I think it was a good beginner shoe, good basic shoe. But how about you? I think you've had a little more experience with spikes.
I've researched them a lot more. I only have 3 total pairs of spikes. I used to not even race in spikes until. So I did 8th grade track, no spikes. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I did indoor track freshman year with no spikes. I didn't do cross country that year.
Yeah.
But then I got spikes in outdoor tracks.
I was gonna say, if you said you didn't have spikes in outdoor, I was gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, no, I beat
Because
you.
you beat me.
No,
You beat me without spikes.
that was my first time racing in spikes. Was that race?
Shit.
No, bro, that was like 8-second PR or something.
Oh yeah. I remember you were hyped up. I was pissed off. I was like,
No, that was a huge PR.
who is this asshole?
No, especially 'cause I did like some time trial in like February or January. Actually, well, it couldn't have been January. It was before spring because I remember it was like around midterm time and like me, Henry, and Kunal were like going after the track after school to see if the ice was melted and it wasn't, so we'd have to we'd leave and like come back the next day and see if it was still there. But I ran like 2:25. I negative split that one actually. I was looking back at the splits a few weeks ago. Like it was such a bad race.
God.
My transition from middle school to high school was like.
You should listen to podcast 1 of how we talk about running the 8s.
Yeah.
That'd be a good resource for you.
My transition was tragic.
What was I saying? Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, my experiences with spikes.
Yeah.
So I got the MD 800s freshman year.
Yep.
And I actually like I said, I really like those ones, and I used them for 2 years. And I only switched out of them because they started getting too tight because my foot was going a little bit. But
Growing boy. Growing
not
pains.
really.
No?
I've grown 1 millimeter in the past year.
Hey!
I'm still short.
At least you've grown.
my foot apparently was getting bigger.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe the spikes are just too small. I don't know. But yeah, so I had those, and then for cross country, I got just like the generic, the rival Nike spikes for cross country, and those were also
I remember those. Yeah.
those were also too small because I didn't try those on. I just got those from the Nike website, and those are pretty nice.
What did you use last season for track?
For track, still the New Balances.
Oh, you're still wearing the New Balances?
I just got a pair of Mamba.
So you still wore
5.
the same pairs that were too small. You just kept wearing them.
Okay, no. Oh, so
or did you just reorder the MD8s and just get bigger ones?
No, I have. So I had one pair of MD8s. Then for cross country later that year, for the beginning of sophomore year, I got the Rivals for cross country.
Okay.
So I could have a cross country spike, and those like fit me fine. Okay. They're nothing crazy. They're just kind of like I remember Capucci at the beginning of my first cross country race was like, "Nice spikes, Alessio," like as a joke because he thought they were sneakers, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks, bro," and then he was like, "Oh wait, they're actually spikes." No, because it's true. They literally just look like a generic pair of Nike sneakers with like nails on the bottom. So yeah, they're nothing like that special, but you know they did their job and took a little bit of weight off your feet and stuff. And then. Oh, also side note, don't use blanks on concrete. I learned that the hard way at AB when because that course has so many sidewalks.
Oh, their home cross country course?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I'd be calling in. He even wanted to wear spikes with the inserts in. I think Anuj did too.
I wore blanks.
Anuj, I think that you're listening to this, and if you listened all the way through, why are you wearing spikes on your home course? What, like, you have pavement for more than half of it. Like.
Yeah, no, so what happened is that my blank got one of my blanks in the like on a it was either the ball or like the pinky toe of my foot right in the back. Yeah. It got so worn out that I almost couldn't get it out of my I was like, frick, these spikes are a month old and I'm gonna have to get a new pair because I can't get this stupid blank out, but then like thankfully I was able to get it out. I had to buy an entire new set of blanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was ever since then. If I wanted to use blanks on a like quote unquote blanks on a cross country course, I just use my like a really worn out 1/4 inch pyramid. Yeah. That's essentially like an eighth of an inch now because it got so destroyed on our old track.
Yeah, this season I just didn't put in inserts if I had to wear blanks.
I know
that's bad
and stuff.
Yeah, I know that's bad and everything, but we weren't really running on any courses that had too much gravel and like little pebbles that can get stuck in it. So, blank.
Right, I guess this year, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because we ran our home course 3 times and then we ran AB, which again, more than half concrete, Amaj. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, every single step like clack, 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 clack.
No, but yeah, I'm serious. Like that's how I'd be calling sophomore year. Because we hit that back straight. We had like half a mile left. And I heard click, 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 click. I'm like, oh, this idiot has spikes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start sprinting in my trainers now.
I used them for a little bit last year when really the only time we raced on like concrete was there were like obviously there's like a few patches on our course, but it's really not that bad. I think I used like full spikes on that.
Right. If you stayed.
But then like Manchester was when I used like the worn out pyramids, and there's that little.
The bridge.
No, just like the whole. You get up on the hill, that entire part is on concrete because it's like the road. Do you know what I'm talking about? You go up the hill.
In Manhattan.
Where we not Manhattan. Sorry, Manchester.
Oh yeah.
Not Manhattan. Manhattan. There's like.
Yeah, Manhattan's all woods.
Like 50 meters.
Yeah,
like,
it's all woods.
There's one part with.
Yeah, it's the bridge or whatever. The Manchester.
Manchester. I used like old spikes on those, and that was.
Was it concrete? I thought it was just worn out gravel.
No, it's like an actual road.
Oh.
I have pictures if you want to see.
I don't have to prove it to me. Let's be honest. It was in the middle of the 2 mile. I was probably dying or whatever, not paying attention.
But yeah, so.
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. That's all inserts. That just comes down to, I guess, preference.
Well, here, how about we do this? We're going to post something on our story. If you've listened all the way through this, thank you very much. But we're going to post something on our story. Tell us what the best spike is for the event that you run. So tell us which event you run and what spike you think is best for it. Because I think this is a good topic to keep going.
Yeah.
Especially with the Vaporflies, to talk about that evolution and the different like technologies coming out. I think that's a good topic to keep up to date and everything with this whole thing. But do you have anything else you want to add?
Not particularly. I guess if you want to complete the my spike story is
Yeah, no, keep going.
I just got a pair of I mentioned earlier Nike Mamba 5s
Mhm.
like in March, like right before the season got canceled.
Yeah.
And those I've done a few strides in them and they're nice.
Have you done any of the time trials?
No, I pulled out. I was gonna do a mile time trial in like.
So what are
June,
those used
and I
for
pulled out.
typically? Are those meant to
Those are rated for 800 to 10K, which is like ridiculous.
Okay.
But like,
So I feel like
I have seen them used like in those events. I know Nico Young, I'm pretty sure, was wearing Mambas when he set the 3K
I remember that
record back in indoor. And they're specifically made for steeplechase. Then I think people started using them for other events. The reason I got them was because the spike plate looks similar to the MD800.
Okay.
Because like I was saying, the Victory just didn't have enough pop for my taste.
Yeah.
I was looking into the Victory 2 Elites, but those are like going out of stock. I can't tell if those are like still being manufactured or not really. They're more expensive. The carbon fiber plate like should theoretically give you more pop, but I heard a lot of people having issues with it cracking.
Okay.
I also did look into the Brooks Eliminates, which
I've been looking into those.
Ongut said those are rockets on his feet.
And
then he broke both of the spike plates.
Well, which version did you get?
I want to say the 3 or the 4. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, because I was looking at I don't think you can even buy the 3s on like Amazon or eBay anymore, but like the 4s I want to try and get because I know Nick Simmons, who's the one that helped design those, hypes them up so much, and I'm like.
And those are like 400 to miles, so I was like perfect.
Right, exactly. Like that's like exactly the range that I need, but I only use them for. I think I'd use On-Guns Vicks for the mile this year. I want to try the Eliminates, but at the same point I'm torn because they're not New Balances. So I'm like, no. But yeah, I want to look into those and test them out. And I'll keep. I think my MD5s are worn out. I can't really use those anymore. They're like dead in the water. The cushioning's gone. The spike plate I think is getting worn out. But
yeah, the one thing I will say about the New Balances is that like little plastic teeth spikes just got destroyed immediately.
Oh yeah, after the first one. Yeah.
The Nikes, because they're designed to catch the steeple barrier. The plastic teeth are a lot bigger, which will be nice for indoor. I guess probably won't really be racing indoor this year without the spikes. I guess certain facilities still don't want you to use blanks whenever, or still don't want you to use inserts whenever possible.
Right. The MSTCA, the meets that they're hosting, you're still not allowed to use spikes there either.
Yeah.
So.
But I guess in general it will help.
Yeah. For sure.
Spike lasts a little longer.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So I guess we're gonna keep talking about this topic further on. I think that's a good place to wrap it up for this week.
Probably.
Yeah.
Pretty far in.
That's fine.
One last time.
If you're tuning in again from last week, thank you for listening to last week. Thank you for listening to this week. We really enjoyed talking about this kind of stuff. I believe our other two co-hosts, Justin and Henry, should be joining us next week. So we'll get some more views. We'll get some more, hopefully some good arguments going and good conversations going with this. But as always, if you have any suggestions about what you want to talk about or us to talk about, DM us. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We're going to post this again to YouTube. As always, you're probably listening to this on Spotify. Give us a follow on Spotify. I mean, it really just shows us how many people are really interested in this stuff, and if this is topics that you guys want us to keep going at. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you tune in next week, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you very much.
See ya.